Good morning, all. Let's now discuss our second editorial session, which is an article related to AFSPA. So, what is AFSPA? First, directly jumping into the analysis of today's news regarding AFSPA, some people might be lacking a basic knowledge regarding what this is all about. I mean, the beginners who are into the initial stage of the UPSC preparation. So, they could benefit if anybody is watching this particular editorial session. That is part 2 of today's The Hindu editorial session. So what does the AFSPA mean? In simple terms, AFSPA gives armed forces the power to maintain public order in disturbed area. Okay, that is regarding AFSPA. Then what is the full form of AFSPA? AFSPA stands for Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Okay, Armed Forces Special Powers Act. So, AFSPA, they have the authority to prohibit a gathering of 5 or more persons in an area. They can use force or even open fire after giving due warning if they feel a person is in contravention of the law. So, if reasonable suspicion exists, then the army can also arrest a person without a warrant, enter or search a premises without a warrant, and ban the possession of firearms. Any person arrested or taken into custody may be handed over to the officer in charge of the nearest police station along with a report detailing the circumstances that led to the arrest. Okay, now AFSPA Act, it's Act we know. This came in the year 1958 and this is an Act of Parliament of India which gives special powers to Indian Armed Forces to maintain public order in disturbed area. So that is regarding AFSPA. Next one is, in this article, when we analyze or read in today's The Hindu article, disturbed area that usage is coming. So you need to have a thorough knowledge about these key words. Only then when you read the article, you come to understand and analyze it in a better way. Hence, I am trying to give you the basic information regarding it. Like, what is a disturbed area and who has the power to declare it? See, a disturbed area is one which is declared by notification under Section 3 of the AFSPA. Now, which are the circumstances in which an area can be disturbed? An area can be disturbed due to differences or disputes between members of different religious, racial, language or regional groups or caste or communities. Now, who can declare this as a disturbed area? Who is having the power? The central government or the governor of the state or administrator of the UT. UT means Union Territory. These people can declare the whole or part of the state or Union Territory as a disturbed area. So, a suitable notification would have to be made in the official gazette. And as per Section 3, it can be invoked in places where the use of armed forces in aid of the civil power is necessary. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs would usually enforce this act where necessary, but there have been exceptions where the centre decided to forego its power and leave the decision to the state governments. Okay, now next we have to discuss about the origin of AFSPA. See, the act came into force in the context of increasing violence in the northeastern states decades ago, which the state governments found difficult to control. The Armed Forces Special Powers Bill was passed by both the houses of the parliament and it was approved by the president on September 11, 1958. Then it became known as the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958. So, little bit history, I told you how it originated and all. Now, which states or are had come under this act? It is effective in the whole of Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, excluding 7 assembly constituencies of Imphal and parts of Arunachal Pradesh. The centre revoked it in Meghalaya on April 1, 2018. Earlier, the AFSPA was effective in a 20-kilometer area along the Assam-Meghalaya border. In Arunachal Pradesh, the impact of AFSPA was reduced to 8 police stations instead of 16 police stations, and in Tirap, Longding and Changlang districts bordering Assam. But the thing which you have to remember is Tripura withdrew from this AFSPA in 2015. Now Jammu and Kashmir too has a similar act. Okay. Now, as you all know, this act came into existence. Now, how did people receive this act? That we have to see. See, it has been a controversial one with human rights groups opposing it as being aggressive. Manipur's Ayom Sharmila has been one of its staunchest opponents, going on a hunger strike in November 2000. If you were preparing long days before, in 2000 year onwards, you could have known this incident from newspapers, and continuing her vigil till August 2016. Her trigger was an incident in the town of Malom in Manipur where 10 people were killed waiting at a bus stop. Hope you knew this thing. You are aware about these things, but for a fresher, it's not necessary that they should know or know all these things. Okay. Now what we have to see is why we are discussing this topic, or why this came in story in today or in the news today. What is the thing? See, it happened because, and what is the demand for this particular thing, that we have to know. The killing of 14 civilians in a botched military operation in Nagaland has led to the fresh calls for repealing the AFSPA, which people describe it as a stringent law that allow the armed forces to use maximum force in an area declared as disturbed. So these kind of civilian attacks were going on from before also. Now why it came in today's newspaper or in the previous days was that the recent killing of 14 civilians in Nagaland's Mon district by the Indian Armed Forces has put the spotlight back on the efficacy of this AFSPA Act of 1958. Okay, now let's go through the newspaper article, because by now you understood, I gave you a foundation. Now you can grasp whatever things we are analyzing. So based on this, one committee is coming that you have to remember. Santosh Hegde committee. Sometimes from prelims also you can get a question. You can expect like this committee is associated with which act. So Santosh Hegde committee appointed by the Supreme Court to look into the 6 of the 1528 alleged extrajudicial killings in Manipur. In the year 2013, they noted the report that the continuous use of the AFSPA for decades in Manipur has evidently had little or no effect on the situation. Now, this thing is there in the newspaper, in the news when you analyze it today. But what is the Santosh Hegde committee? That is not mentioned in news. But there you have to be prepared as far as UPSC is considered. It's not whatever given in newspaper they should act. The background things also you ought to know. That's why I told the flashback stories and origin regarding AFSPA in my beginning session or beginning part of this particular analysis. So, Santosh Hegde committee means this committee was appointed by Supreme Court for what purpose? To investigate encounter killings in Manipur. And what did they expose out of that committee? They exposed the legislation's failure to tackle insurgency in that particular state of Manipur. Now let's discuss about this particular act. Let's analyze things. So, it is evident that the act has not succeeded in its mission of containing insurgents, because even today in Manipur, there are 32 active militant outfits. Hope you are getting the thing. But in the case of Nagaland, most of the outfits have come under one umbrella, that is NSCNIM, that is National Socialist Council of Nagaland Isaac Muyua, which is very ambiguous in its demands. Now, when you read this thing, you will understand. See, the Supreme Court said that a grave situation of law and order must occur for a region to be declared a disturbed area, and that section I taught you, that section is section 3 of the AFSPA, which cannot be constituted as a conferring power to issue a declaration without any time limit. Now, the Disturbed Areas Act, this act has to be reviewed every 6 months, because without it in place, you cannot have the AFSPA. That means this AFSPA and Disturbed Areas Act are having interconnection. Both of these things are connected. Then the AFSPA is a colonial law. Like it is hanging over our heads like the sword of Damocles. It must go as it is prone to abuse, and it also shows that the country cannot come up with an anti-insurgency or a counter-insurgency force. Now, when we use the army against our own people, that means we are abusing the army, because it has to be trained to fight the enemy and not its own people. So that is the negativity regarding this AFSPA Act. Some people consider this AFSPA that it is having a sort of political, it is used as a sort of political tool. Then more about to discuss this particular thing is that, if you noticed, in the year 2018, Lieutenant General retired D.S. Hooda, he made a remark like, it is better to replace the AFSPA with some more humane or acceptable legislation, which would also provide better legal protection to the soldiers in counter-insurgency areas. Now, when we think about this particular thing, some might think this act should be repealed, or some people will tell there is a need to modify this act. But if some people think that it is to be replaced with something else, and these views which I cited just 1 minute before, even the Jeevan Reddy Committee, J.S. Verma Committee and the Second Administrative Reforms Commission have all commented regarding these particular lines of views. So, the act can be amended to make more humane. That is what is needed, I think, so far, because by repealing or replacing it, it is not fully going to work, because the armed forces are to operate in these particular areas. It is an essentiality. So it has to come to some more humane aspect. That is what is the need of the hour, I guess. So it is actually an issue of perceptions, right? What I am telling you might not be agreeing to it. You might be having a different viewpoint. And the thing is, on many occasions, the Supreme Court has upheld its legality and endorsed the do's and don'ts which were laid out by the army headquarters. But at the ground level, the commanders and the soldiers are sensitive and know that they are operating against their own people. Now the next question which might rise in your mind is there any mechanism for accountability of such act? See, the AFSPA grants blanket immunity to the forces. Further, we have to consider one thing, that the government of India has reportedly denied permission to prosecute any armed forces personnel in cases of alleged fake encounters investigated by the CBI. Okay. So far there isn't any mechanisms what government of India can do, but if it uses the army, it cannot disable the army by diluting the act in any sort of way. Then there is another argument that the continuous enforcement of the AFSPA has derailed the peace process involving the NSC and IM in this case, with large sections of the people disenchanted that they have been kept out of the process. Now, when you go through Nagaland issue, in Nagaland, the people are traumatized because they are caught between the state and the non-state forces. The non-state forces extort money from businesses, entrepreneurs, government, etc. Even development funds are being shared with the militant outfits. So, this shows that there is a total absence of law and order in these states. For instance, we don't have an opposition any longer in the Nagaland Assembly, because all the 60 MLAs have joined the government on the plea that they will ensure the culmination of the 25-year-old peace process. But that's not happening now. Now, what they are demanding is, the NSC and IMS demand for a flag and a separate constitution. Work in the Naga inhabited areas of Manipur have given up for the demand for sovereignty. Now, but the government stand is, the government of India is very clear and they are not going to allow any territorial rearrangement. But by this demanding flag and constitution and all, the NSC and IM wants the peace talks to go on unresolved. That is what is the present situation. Okay. Then automatically you come to know that the law and order situation is really bad in these states, because there are highly seditious, violent elements who are getting attracted by money, gun culture, etc. For them, they go about collecting taxes on everything, and the worst thing is the police and local administration are quite ineffective. In most of these disturbed areas, there is a communal, tribal, ethnic divide that makes the local police partisan as well. Now, it is the army or the central police force that restores some degree of law and order in these places. Now, as for the NSC and IM, it uses the ceasefire in Nagaland to keep moving around. Now, it has no reason to conclude the peace process. But it's not just them. There are many splinter groups that carry out extortion. So, these forces have to intervene. Hope you are getting the point. Then the next question that comes is, how can people lead a normal life in this particular situation? But the situation is the same in the case of Assam and parts of Arunachal Pradesh also. This problem they are encountering by the 16-kilometer free movement zone on either side of the 1643-kilometer India-Myanmar border. Now here it aids the smuggling of arms and drugs and the movement of militants. So I think we have to make the broader regime some more stricter, and the situation along the India-Myanmar border is much better now. Why? Because of the use of technology, communication and the forward movement of Assam Rifles Post. Okay, so the presence of the armed forces in these states is not so formidable as to be intimidating. So in certain cases, it has positively only impacted the lives of the people. So that is regarding this particular editorial session. So inside this editorial session, certain committees we discussed. Then you have to know the updations, like where recently, in which state, and in which district this civilians got killed. Nagaland's Mon district. All these things you have to know it properly. Okay. So from prelims point of view also you can analyze this particle, and from mains point also. So that's all for today. So these two were the important hit list areas for prelims as well as mains from this today's editorial session. Hope you enjoyed and understood the basics and everything regarding this. If you have got any doubts, feel free to text me out in this channel. So if you loved today's both of the editorial sessions, please do like, share to maximum freshers, that means the beginners who are going to prepare for UPSC CSE examination in June 2022. And please don't forget to hit the bell icon, because if you don't do that, you won't get the notifications whenever I am putting this analysis. So take care in this COVID pandemic. Thank you. Let's see you tomorrow. Bye.